This is Valley News Live at 5.
A local animal rescue is asking for your help tonight after they say a man released 80 parakeets in Moorhead this week. Rescuers say if the birds aren't captured soon, they will likely die. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley spoke to the shelter today, which says while this is the largest release they've ever seen, it's not a new problem.
21 budgies, also known as parakeets, as well as an unknown amount of newly hatched baby budgies, are new members of the family here in West Fargo.
Right now, it's just a matter of getting these guys comfortable and settled in.
Willie says the rescue got a call on Wednesday night from a man saying he needed to drop off some birds.
They showed up with a couple of cages. One of them was like a homemade wooden box thing, and we literally had to cut it open to get the birds out of there.
And she says the man later dropped the bombshell that before he came here, he released 80 budgies near the Moorhead Country Club.
It's really hard because you have to really bite your tongue and I'm just glad he brought the ones he did.
It becomes a matter of just hoping we can track them down before it's too late, because a lot of them aren't going to make it.
Willie says since the weather's warmed up, they've rescued or been brought 70 parakeets that were released into the community.
It's sad, it really is, but they will open a window and just let them go on purpose. And I don't think they understand that they're not going to survive here, especially North Dakota.
She says if you see one, you can easily capture them by putting a towel or butterfly net over them.
Parking lots, backyards, driveways, they just come down into an open area usually.
And urges their doors are always open to take in and care for feathery friends like this. In West Fargo, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Willie says the rescue will hold on to the birds for 30 days until they'll be put up for adoption. The North Dakota Animal Board says releasing a non-native species into the wild is illegal in North Dakota and says a person could face charges of animal abandonment. There's a big cool down on the way, but in the meantime, a hot one today around the region. Let's find out what's in store for this evening. Nathan?
Yeah, Andrea, a hot one this evening and a windy one for some folks as well. A live look at our home of economy Skycam in Grand Forks shows those flags there in the parking lot are moving with those winds up there in the Northern Valley. But the clouds, 1 cloud, 2 cloud, 3 cloud, sunshine for us for our Thursday evening. But the winds were a bit busy. Of course, for the Devils Lake Basin, mainly Langdon, that peak wind of 38 miles per hour, a peak wind in Grafton 36, peak wind in Devils Lake itself 32 miles per hour. Not quite as windy across Lakes Country, and I do expect the next couple of hours as we head towards sunset, those winds will diminish across the Northern Valley as well. Satellite and radar shows pretty much the same thing what we saw on our home of economy Skycam, which is a whole lot of nothing. High pressure is in charge, so plenty of sunshine. Temperatures though, 89 in Fargo, 89 also in Grand Forks. If you're stepping out here at 5:01 on your Thursday evening, cooler temperatures there out toward the Lakes Country areas, 82 in Detroit Lakes, 81 for our friends in Badette, near 90 degrees for our friends in Mobridge at this hour. So for the rest of this evening, for your Thursday evening plans, we stay clear and quiet. Temperatures cooling into those 70s there by the midnight hour in Fargo. The wind calming down in Fargo as well. Sunshine continues for our friends up toward Grand Forks. And then cooling nicely into the 60s, even some upper 50s, Andrea, for the early evening tonight. So we are talking about that cool down, but also the chance of some rainfall for Father's Day weekend. We'll break all that down in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Nathan.
You bet.
We're learning more about what led to a shooting that killed a 6-year-old boy in Moorhead. Police say the gun belonged to Philip Jones Jr. He wasn't allowed to have firearms because of a prior felony conviction. The incident happened in March in the 400 block of Sunrise Circle South. According to court documents, Jones's girlfriend left the children alone that night. Documents state that the children's mother sent an Uber for Jones's girlfriend so she could meet her at the mall, but since there weren't enough seats for everyone, the kids stayed home. Then they found the gun and it went off, killing 6-year-old Marcellus. Jones claimed he didn't know there was a gun in the home, but his DNA was found on the gun, recovered from the scene. Fargo police need your help identifying a person of interest in the frying pan arson case. They just released this photo of the suspect today. The arson happened before 1:30 in the morning at the Frying Pan restaurant on Main Avenue. There was a fire at a dumpster which spread to the roof of the building. Damage is estimated at $5,000. A $3,000 reward is being offered to anyone with information on an elderly Minnesota man who was murdered. On this date last year, Terry McCoy was preparing to leave his home in Wheaton to move into an assisted living center. When prospective buyers stopped by his farm the next day, McCoy wasn't there, but they noticed signs of a struggle and called police. His body was found 2 weeks later in a river northeast of Wheaton. Anyone with information is asked to contact the BCA tip line at the number on your screen. Body parts were found in northeastern Minneapolis this morning. The police and medical examiner are working to identify the person, while investigators are reviewing missing persons reports. Police say the appearance of the body parts indicates the death would be relatively recent, and they are investigating the case as a homicide.
The body parts that were found would lead us to believe that the injuries caused by the removal would not be life-sustaining. These would be life-ending injuries.
Police also say the parts are from an adult who was white. Funeral plans are set for a 14-year-old girl who died after being brutally attacked in South Fargo on June 4th. Jupiter Paulson died 4 days later while fighting for her life in the hospital. Her family chose to donate her organs, which helped 4 people, including a 13-year-old girl. Her funeral will be held on Sunday, June 27th at 5 p.m. It will be outside of Shields Arena, and the community is welcome to attend and remember her as well. 31 people were arrested following a protest. It happened this morning at an Enbridge equipment site on Hubbard County Road 11 in Henrietta Township. A van pulled in front of a semi-tractor trailer, causing it to suddenly stop on the highway. People got out, and one person crawled under the semi-trailer and attached herself to the rear axle. Another person climbed on the trailer and attached themselves to an item there. More people arrived, and deputies started arresting those who were causing a traffic hazard and refused to leave. A former Monoman County sheriff is in jail for violating a restraining order. Bradley Athman was arrested after a woman reported he was within 20 feet of her home, violating the protection order she had recently been granted against him. Police say Athman drove by her lake cabin several times a day in different vehicles and would sometimes get out and peek into the windows of the cabin. Court documents show similar incidents occurred last summer. The protection order is in effect until June of 2023. Authorities in Otter Tail County are warning you about a scam going around involving your Amazon account. The sheriff's office says people are receiving calls from people claiming to work for Amazon, saying their items are being put on hold due to suspicious spending. The victim is then asked for credit card details or banking information for what the caller claims is a refund, but it's not. This is a scam, and authorities are reminding you, don't give out your personal financial information to strangers. If you think your Amazon account has been hacked, go ahead and contact Amazon. Minnesota school enrollment dropped 2.3% during the 2020-21 school year. The pandemic proved difficult for teachers, parents, and students, with concerns over safety as well as the challenges of distance learning. Valley News Team's J.C. Dodd looked into the numbers of Minnesota and North Dakota schools and investigated the repercussions that schools may face with the decline in enrollment. J.C.?
Well, Andrea, some Minnesota schools are facing a loss in funding and resources after new data obtained by the Associated Press shows school enrollment is down 2.3% in Minnesota. The most concerning of these numbers showing an economically disadvantaged kids. According to the Associated Press, not economically disadvantaged student enrollment increased by 3%, whereas economically disadvantaged student enrollment saw a 12% decrease. Another big concern for school districts was the 9% decrease in kindergarten enrollment. Many parents choosing to hold their kids back a year, homeschool, or enroll in private school. Private kindergarten student enrollment saw almost a 12% increase throughout the state this academic year. According to the Associated Press, Minnesota allots school funding based on enrollment numbers. And with the decrease, some districts could lose about $10,000 per student they don't keep enrolled. I reached out to several school districts here about their enrollment numbers, and officials at Grand Forks Public School say they lost about 90 students this year, many of whom chose homeschooling. However, West Fargo Public Schools officials say they're looking at a projected 450 student increase for the 2021-22 school year. Officials for Moorhead Area Public Schools say they have seen a slight increase in kindergarten enrollment from this time last year.
All right, thanks, JC. We reached out to the Becker School District, Polk County Public Schools, and East Grand Forks Public Schools. We have not yet heard back about their enrollment data. What better way for dads to enjoy Father's Day than with a free trip to the Red River Zoo? Fathers, grandfathers, and father figures are all welcome. They can check out the eagles and the wolves and even Luna the opossum. Zoo staff say it's a great way to give back to the dads who do so much for their families.
It's a fabulous day for families to spend time together, enjoying the zoo, enjoying the outdoors, and of course, spending really quality time together. So we're happy to say thank you to those dads out there by giving you free admission to the zoo.
Perfect.
The zoo is open on Sunday from 10 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon. If you've forgotten to cancel a subscription after a free trial, one group of senators is trying to change that. Later on Valley News Live at 5, how they plan to address the issue.
And the old saying, it's a dry heat, can be applied to today. Relative humidity's in the teens and 20s, so definitely not very humid out there at all. But I've got some changes on the menu for the weekend. A little something for everybody. We'll break down your forecast next.